of the best, the elite of the elite in the Premier Class next season, and it looks like he'll be moving up as the Moto2 World Champion. Into the final two corners we go. Pedro Acosta into turn number 17. He is cruising here, Mandalika, even time for a bit of go riding through the final. And in the gravel trap which Lazare now finds himself in as well. Clear frustration from Gonzalez's teammate there, because it looked like he might have been given a little bit of a helping hand there too. Was that Barry Balta to look like, oh, that's Aldeguer, who's not been shy at all, has he? Into turn 10. His latest victim of some pure outright aggression on the brakes into 10. Well, it was Somkiat Chantra a few laps ago. This time around it's Arbolino. Arbolino now having to tough it out with Gonzalez. We are underway here in Mandalika. Salac looks like he's made a poor start, a really poor start from that front row of the grid. Chantra immediately through on his inside. In fact, Chantra also through on Gonzalez as well. And it's Pedro Acosta who fires himself immediately to the front of this Mandalika Grand Prix. There's chaos a bit further back, a couple of rights further back. Canetto back on the inside of Acosta as we go through turn 2.
Yeah, Canetto recognising straight away that he needs to get track position ahead of Pedro Acosta and make Acosta do the chasing. It was Lopez who was one of the riders down with Alberto Sora further back down the grid. So the pair of them are out of contention. Tony Arbolino is up 5 from 10th to 5th.
That's what happens when you qualify 18th like Alonso Lopez did, trying to recover places earlier. That's his third crash of the weekend. Alonso Lopez having a real terrible time of it at the moment. Gonzalez trying to immediately recover some positions lost off the line. No way to run Acosta. Top end of the circuit. Hard braking into turn 10 for the third time. Poleman Canet then it is. That leads. Aldeguer trying to find a way through turn 11 on Arbolino, who has made one of his customary electric starts and now through on the inside of Chantra. That was beautifully done through the high speed turn 12. Arbolino then 10th to 4th on this first lap. Sensational stuff by the Italian again.
Give him so much credit on lap 1 of Moto2 races. There is no one better than Tony Arbolino. Canet then from Acosta and Gonzalez, who are already trying to put some space between themselves and the chasing pack as Aldeguer latches onto the back of Arbolino once again. Chantra coming from a long way back there, up behind Aldeguer, who outbraked himself into turn 16, and he's going to lose that place to Chantra with the top 3 clear as we complete the first lap.
Yeah, Canet then from pole position. He did briefly lose the lead on that run down to the first corner, but he struck straight back on Acosta into the second corner. Acosta trying to pick up some slipstream here. He's going to run the inside line, just squeeze on the inside of Canet. Can Canet get him back on the cutback as they power towards turn 2? No, he gets his nose chopped off. Lopez has rejoined this Grand Prix after his turn 1 collision involving Sora.
So does Pedro Acosta think the best way to beat Aaron Canet is to disrupt his rhythm, or does he feel he has the pace to take the lead and bolt at the front of this race? It is a long Grand Prix here. 22 laps will feel like an age for these Moto2 riders. Ayagura, incidentally, on the way down position of the grid, has not been progress. In fact, he has gone backwards down to 21st, so I wonder whether he was perhaps also delayed by that turn 1 incident.
Acosta just might want some clear air, as well as Canet's immediately trying to fight back on the inside into turn 10. That's aggressive, and he's got through as well. Don't think Acosta's going to be able to retaliate. He has a long look over his left shoulder, just trying to make sure, see where Gonzalez is directly behind him. So it's a Spanish top 3 as it stands right now. Canet back at the front. Been a good early battle this between Canet and Acosta. Back in the hands of the pole man.
This is all helping Tony Arbolino keep up and potentially close in on this leading trio. Gonzalez hasn't been able to get involved in this battle in the front so far. You can see him on the very distinctive yellow and blue Mastercamp livery up behind the leading pair. Pedro Acosta a little bit too far back, although he does favour that slightly tighter inside line on the approach through 15 and into 16. Canet will lead us through this second lap. Tony Arbolino started this second lap, half a second adrift of the leading trio. He's still around half a second behind us. Gonzalez starts to now slip back towards it.
Fully in control of this year's World Championship, Pedro Acosta, but not fully fit coming into this Indonesian Grand Prix. Had a real fast crash on the inside of Canet, though, into the first corner. This time around, he does make it 6. Salac has gone from bad to worse for the Czech rider. He had a real poor start from that rare front row of the grid, and he's crashed out early on here then as well for the Grazzini squad. He's trying to pick up that number 12 bike with the assistance of the marshals, but Acosta had that high-speed crash on Friday morning at turn 15. It's the last corner in, isn't it? Yeah, a little tap on his inside there. I think there was room there. Agura will say that, well, he had track position, but back at the front then, and Acosta is leading. Tony Arbolino, quickest man on circuit with a 1:34.820 as he tries to make this break with the top three. There he is, just coming into your picture right now. That's a lunge, isn't it? A lunge and a half. Chantra gets picked up there, steaming through on the inside was Furman Aldeguer, and Dixon also sweeps on the inside of Chantra, who's not going to be happy with that one.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to use the words Jeremy Alcover and long lap penalty in the sentence once again. He's just been given a double long lap penalty for irresponsible riding, so I can only deduce from that that the turn one pilot was started once again, I'm afraid, by Jeremy Alcover.
Well, he's a serial repeat offender, isn't it? And there's been a few people who thought he got off lightly with a long lap in India, didn't they?
Penalty is third offence, so it must be for that.
Well, people think that he's well overdue the book being thrown at him, and Alcover then incurring the wrath of race direction. We'll try and find out what happened in that first corner incident. We for sure know that Lopez and Sura were punted out of this Grand Prix. At the front then, Acosta, head down under the bubble, 1:34.960. He's the only rider. He's the only rider in the 1:34s now. Arbolino on the inside of Gonzalez. He's trying to go here with Acosta. Pedro Acosta, the only rider on that lap 3, was able to hold the pace in the 1:34s. He was half a second quicker of Canet in second. So he clearly, the tactic is here, get the front early and bolt.
Yeah, and that's big questions of Aaron Canet to see if he's got the pace to go in and potentially try and force Aaron Canet into an early mistake. The lead already through the first sector on this lap is up to 0.6 of a second. Tony Arbolino will be able to see that all unfolding, and if he wants any designs on keeping up with Pedro Acosta in this Grand Prix, he might also have to act quickly to get past the pole sitter.
That super aggressive move that Aldeguer made on Chantra right here at turn 10 on that previous lap did not cost him his best lap of the race so far. He still found a 1:35.225. Coming up by far the worst of that was the Thai rider Chantra, who slipped back into 1:36. He was run out of the marbles by Aldeguer, piling up the inside of him in that hard braking zone for turn 10. On board then with Arbolino. But a wheel spin there as he got through third to fourth gear, up to 230 kilometres an hour, right on the rev limiter there as well, up to fifth gear. Now into turn 16 we go. Acosta is your race leader. Connect the pole man just ahead of the man on board with right now, Tony Arbolino. They'll flick you hard left then through turn 17, then power down this comparatively short 507-metre start-finish straight. Pedro Acosta is clearly in head-down mode here. The strategy crystal clear. Fastest lap of the race, 1:34.636. Canet and Arbolino have responded because they've got themselves back into the 1:34s, but the gap now over half a second for the first time in this Grand Prix.
Igor also has a long lap penalty for that incident, which we saw easing Philip Salach out of the race. So Iaguro, who's currently running down the field in 19th place, this weekend goes from bad to worse. He will also be taking a trip through the long lap penalty week shortly.
Yeah, no back-to-back podiums then this season for Iagura. His weekend started to unravel yesterday with the crash in P3 at turn 8. Pretty high-speed get-up for the Japanese rider. So irresponsible riding for him as well. Arbolino's wide there, isn't he? Really wide going into turn 10. I think he's going to lose that third place to Gonzalez. He just wipes the nose of Gonzalez. Is Calex going through turn 11. But Arbolino just made a mistake on the brakes there, rushing into turn 10 as he tries to go with the Spaniards ahead of him. Aldeguer now on the inside of Gonzalez. Not a lot of room there, but what room there was, he took it.
Yeah, Manuel Gonzalez finds himself in a rather familiar place right now. He's in P5 at this stage of the race, although Jake Dixon might be soon about to change that. Just goes to show that you've got to be decisive in these races. There was a brief opportunity there for Gonzalez to move through on Arbolino. As soon as that door was slammed in his face, he ended up losing fourth place to Aldeguer, who's shown good pace so far for this weekend, and he is certainly firmly a podium contender. And not that fastest lap for Pedro Acosta at 34.4 this time, but credit Canet, he's responding again at 34.5 as he keeps pace with the championship leader.
Yellow flags out in the fourth and final sector.
Kelton Azane has gone down.
We ride on board then with Dixon. You'll be able to count the bikes in front of any man who Gonzalez and think, not again, please. 4 bikes in front of me. P5 at the moment. Kelton Azane goes down then. Not been a good day so far for our Japanese contingent, hasn't it? With Azane down now, that's 16. Iagura with a long lap penalty for his double tap on Salach, which put the Czech rider in the gravel trap. The gravel trap which Azane now finds himself in as well. Clear frustration from Gonzalez's teammate there, because it looked like he might have been given a little bit of a helping hand there too. Was that Barry Balter to look like? Oh, that's Aldeguer, who's not been shy at all, has he? Into turn 10. His latest victim of some pure outright aggression on the brakes into 10. But the Somkiat Chantra a few laps ago. This time around it's Arbolino. Arbolino now having to tough it out with Gonzalez. A battle he doesn't want to be in. Gonzalez going to have the inside line now through the high-speed sweep through 13. So Arbolino, that all was a result of Aldeguer getting the knees and elbows pretty sharp again at 10.
Yeah, and of course Gonzalez learning from the previous lap where he perhaps was a little bit too kind to Arbolino. This time he wasn't going to let Arbolino stay in front of him, so Tony Arbolino drops back to 5th place now. Put the flag out now, as you can see. Acosta's lead would extend even further up to 64 World Championship points. Been watching the sector times for a few laps now. Pedro Acosta's quicker than Canet through sectors 1 and 4. And Canet's quicker in the faster infield stuff. On that last lap, Aaron Canet was slightly quicker than Pedro Acosta for the first time in around 3 laps.
Arbolino then does fight back on Gonzalez, although he's going to run it a little bit hot, just half a metre offline. That was all that Gonzalez needed to do to snap back into that 4th place. Shout out to the rookie, another stellar performance at the moment by Sergio Garcia. He just set his best lap of this Grand Prix, a 1:34.813. He's in 8th place at the moment, making big progress towards Chantra. There he is, just out of your picture. But Sergio Garcia on course for another very strong top 10 as it stands right now. He's actually got podium pace at this early phase of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, the only riders quicker than Garcia as well are Acosta and Canet, who are pulling away at the front of this race as Arbolino shows a front wheel again to Manu Gonzalez. They can see Fermin Aldeguer starting to stretch clear at the front of the field as Aldeguer's teammate Alonso Lopez as he's leaving the pit lanes. He came in around a lap ago. Well, I guess Alonso Lopez is heading out there in case there's a red flag, in which case he can resume. Let's have a look then at the start. So the bike to look for is the light blue bike, centre of picture. Jeremy Alcoba, he's in the middle of the pack at the moment alongside Denis Foggia. Alonso Lopez and Surat Tulic, we understand, are going to be involved in the incident. And there you can see as Alcoba is actually on the inside there. It looked like he was squeezed, to be honest. I have to say, for all the things that Jeremy Alcoba has done so far this season, that perhaps is the most harsh I think we've seen him treated.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one. Back at the front, Pedro Acosta, and again it's another fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and there's now clear daylight, isn't there, emerging between Acosta and Canet. 1:34.447. Canet's running a real strong pace himself in those sort of mid to high 34s, but he just is that 10th or 2, 10th and a half or so behind Pedro Acosta. Casadei's got a shortcut at turn 9, which means he's going to come into the long lap penalty loop at the moment. Casadei down in 24th place, he's in the low 136s, but at the moment this is just a pace that nobody can live with. But Pedro Acosta is running. His advantage over the line was just over 3/4 of a second. Canet's got a big gap then of nearly 2 seconds back to Aldeguer, who himself in turn has been able to streak away quite quickly from Gonzalez, Arbolino and the Dixon battle.
Just looking at the battle further back for 10th place, a rather familiar story unfortunately for Sam Lowe's, losing ground early in races. He's shown good pace in recent races but not converted it into points. And Sam Lowe's, who was perhaps one of the fastest riders, he looks as if he had podium potential here on Friday afternoon in the hot conditions of practice 2. Unfortunately, Sam Lowe's is in no position to show it at the moment, running in 10th place. He has just got past Darragh Binder out of picture, but he's a long way behind. He's nearly 7 seconds off the race lead.
Looks like it's going to be another mid 1:34 coming in. Arbolino on the inside of Gonzalez into 16. Not going to work though. He runs in wide. Gonzalez comes straight back through. Arbolino trying to offer some payback through the final corner, but no way through yet. It's another mid 1:34 from Acosta, as we suspected, and for the first time in this Grand Prix. So a long way to go. 14 to go of 22 laps. His advantage over a second for the first time. Canet desperately trying to hang in there with another 1:34.7, but again it's just that couple of tenths shy of Acosta's best pace.
This is all following the Pedro Acosta blueprint so far, isn't it? We saw this back in Portimao. It's almost a carbon copy so far at this stage, where it's Acosta versus Canet. Acosta was just able to eke out a 10th of a second here, a 10th of a second there. He's almost death by 1,000 cuts for Canet, who's not exactly losing frequent time to Acosta, but it is just enough frequently through the Grand Prix that Acosta is just getting further and further away, and that will just be playing on the mind of Aaron Canet. He'll be thinking, surely not again.
Gonzalez just started to gap Arbolino here as well, who's dropping back into the clutches of Jake Dixon. So there might be more World Championship points being lost here by Arbolino, who you have to say day by day, race by race, minute by minute almost, he's seeing this World Championship slip through his fingers. We're looking back now from Arbolino's up, might be just that connect. So 1.3 seconds out of nowhere, he lost a whole chunk of time there, Aldeguer.
Well, this is the battle further back between Arbolino and Dixon, and Tony Arbolino losing fifth place, but he nearly lost a whole lot more than that.
I wonder what happened to Aldeguer on that previous circuit. Tony Arbolino, he's already on the floor at turn 5 yesterday, so he didn't want to repeat that experience. Your live championship, and it makes for happy reading for Pedro Acosta, and sorry reading for Tony Arbolino, because with just 5 races remaining, Pedro Acosta will be in a commanding 65-point lead in the championship as we head to Phillip Island next weekend. This, of course, the first of 2 triple headers to round out this Moto2 Championship battle. And starting this final lap here in Mandalika, 2.8 seconds clear of Aaron Canet. We find Pedro Acosta. Thurman Aldeguer has just run out of steam late on here, hasn't he? It's another high 135 from the speed-up rider, which means out of nowhere, in the space of 2 laps, he's lost 1.5 seconds to Canet. So it does look like, the fingers and ears of Canet fans, it's going to be second place number 13 in Moto2 for the Pond rider.
Just doing the rough maths in my head with a 65-point lead leaving here. Pedro Acosta completes this last half a lap and wins this race, and then wins in Phillip Island and in Buriram. Pedro Acosta could be crowned Moto2 World Champion before we even go to that final triple header.
Well, he was the massive favourite coming into this phase of the season. And now, the bookies are going to stop taking on their bets on this man, because he has been once again quite supreme. It's been another exhibition, superb performance by Pedro Acosta. What a week it has been for the 19-year-old Spaniard. Confirmed finally after the long wait, he's moving up into MotoGP, mixing it with the best of the best, the elite of the elite in the Premier Class next season, and it looks like he'll be moving up as the Moto2 World Champion. Into the final 2 corners we go. Pedro Acosta into turn number 17. He is cruising here, Mandalika, even time for a bit of go riding through the final corner. Pops the wheelie. It is